Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good vibes, good energy, good people. It's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe right now. Also, if you want to support my brand, it's inspiredbydreams.shop, and that's the place you can go to dress outside of the box. Okay, today's conversation, it comes from a content creator I watch on YouTube. His name is Anton Daniels. I'm pretty sure you guys might have came across one of his videos. He's a big content creator, really dope channel. You guys gotta go check it out. And I was in his live chat when he was going over this conversation. So today's video is around parents with transgender kids. And one of the video that went viral, it's about a dad that took his son to the prom. And we're gonna get into the video, but before we get into the video, I just wanted to give you a little take on it. So in the conversation, I started to realize I was so surprised how a lot of the females, they weren't with it at all, and they was just saying certain points that I remember from the top of my head. The father, being, I guess it was a stronger female dynamic in the family, and I guess they overruled him, and he was just, he didn't have, in other words, he simped out, in other words, and they were saying, it's a lot of things that when I see the video, it gave me different thoughts on how, the different dynamics. But through it all, we're gonna go through it, break it down, and also we're gonna go into some other conversations about being a parent with transgender kids and just how it all goes down. So let's get it. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe. Go.
Mickey made it. Mickey made what you made, Mickey?
Mickey made it.
Salute, Mickey. Grand rising to you.
Mickey made it. What's up, man? Salute.
Brothers and sisters.
My husband surprised his son by taking him to the prom.
Okay, off the back, you could tell that it wasn't easy for both parties. And number one, I just feel like, I hear a lot of biblical talk on how in the Bible says this, Bible says that, and it hurts me when I hear people, jump straight to the Bible when it comes down to situations that they might not necessarily agree with. When people are just killing people on a daily, nobody goes to the Bible or scriptures to speak on that. But when it comes down to, it seems like transgenders or the gay community, it seems like people have a different twist on how they view people. And my thoughts on it was that, if it's your kid and you love your kid, you're gonna always want to be there for your kid no matter what. We don't, as human beings, we don't really know what we are making our opinions on how we feel, but you have to sometimes understand how another person feels. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. And even though it might be not the norm to so many people saying whatever norm is supposed to be, it's your kid. And I feel like unconditional parents are the ones that always succeed in having the best families, because it's not about what society thinks or what you may even believe it to be, or you may be a Christianity or whatever religion you feel like goes against it, but it's your blood, it's your kid. And I just feel like we got to get to a place where we have to understand that everybody's not the same, and everybody doesn't have, we only get one life. That's the way I look at it. I don't like people looking down on other people or calling other people different, this or that, because at the end of the day, we just gotta love each other. And as if that seems like that's something corny to you, you just gotta get your mind right and really take heed in what's really going on in this world today and why we hurt other people. And the unalive rates of the kids growing up in these times, it's shooting to the roof. It's ridiculous, because these are all emotions that if you pick up on and you really get to know people and get to know, different walks of life, you'll start to understand that, yeah, people are people. So let's keep going. Let's see what's going on, man. And you could tell for Pops it took a feat to be there, but he showed up. He showed up, yo. He showed up. I don't care. He showed up.
Wait, let's let him fall on the floor. Let him fall. Let him fall. Oh, poor baby. Oh my God. Oh. Hold on. Look up. Oh, please don't. Oh, Bella's crying. He didn't know his pops was gonna be there. He's crying. This is monumental.
And take it easy in the comments, but I just want to let you also know some people are giving the impression of they knew what they was doing by putting it on social media. Yeah, they know what they was doing, but and on the other side of things, when the world or you have social media and people pointing at you, telling you you're different, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. To normalize it the best way you can, to show the love, your unconditional love that you have for your son. Put people and their kids put their kids on their kids put their videos up from the prom and things like that. Why can't they put up their family? Why can't they put up their son? Because people are gonna say what? It's like, I don't know. I just feel like if family, it's more than just sexuality when it comes down to love. Love is not just about the sexual part of it. It's all about unconditional love. You guys let me know though. Let me know.
Oh no! Don't cry! No!
So my child, the first one is born, went to a princess party as a ninja. 6. I remember looking at my baby like, I love this kid, man. That's what I'm talking about. It's that rebel spirit that I enjoy so much. Get them princesses, right? And so as my child's getting older, I'm like, all right, I think my child's probably gay, I'm looking. I'm from New York. I mean, you gotta. What's in front of you? Outside the subway, is it safe or not? You gotta look at what's there. Middle school, I'm like watching. All the friends fall apart. I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, the girls are probably like, you're not talking about boys. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, all right. I'm kind of eyeballing. I know when a conversation is coming, but I'm prepared for it because I'm like, you gay? I'm like, great. We can chop that up real quick. It ain't gonna be nothing. So I'm in New Orleans. This is 2019, coming off the first season of Queen of the South. I'm all gangstered up and everything. So the family finally comes, around June to the hotel, get off the plane, and my kid's face is all, screwed up, tight. He sits us down in the hotel room, and he's like, okay, I'm trans. I'm a boy. I was like, what?
Like I was ready for the other thing.
The fuck, man? I thought we was going to do the gay thing. Like,
I don't choose that door.
I'm ready for this conversation. I could chop that up. I got that.
I have the manual for that one. What is this one? I don't have the manual for this one.
But my boy's an overachiever, right? So, that.
I raised my son Mormon, and he still became trans. I haven't wanted to share my story or talk up about it on social media because I'm afraid. I've been afraid for my son's life, for our family's well-being, because we live in a very small, conservative, red town. And frankly, I'm not sure how it's going to be received. But there's so much transphobia and hate right now in this world, and with the laws being passed, that I need to tell my story. The only thing that evil needs to triumph is for good people to just say nothing. So I can't sit back quietly anymore. And as afraid as I am to share our story, I think that it could help a lot of people, and it could help people on both sides. Because what I'm really understanding and seeing in media and people's posts is that there's just not a lot of education about this. And I understand, because I didn't know very much about transgenderism at all until my child came out to me. And honestly, it was terrifying at first. Having been raised a Mormon, and which is a very high demand religion, I had all these hopes and dreams for my children. I was as conservative and right wing as you can be, and I truly, truly believed that I was doing the right thing, teaching my children that they had to be this way as well. And then my child started showing signs of being gay or being attracted to somebody of the same sex, and that was scary first, because I was still very deeply, deeply in the religion. And I'll just tell you right now, I left Mormonism over 7 years ago now, and I haven't looked back, and I actually haven't even missed it, which is crazy because I lived and loved it for over 37 years. But anyway, that's it. I digress. When my child came out to me, I think he was in middle school and was really scared to tell me anything, because I was very deeply entrenched in the Mormon belief system, which is very Christian. And that made me sad, because as a mom, all I want is for my children to be happy, to know that they are loved unconditionally. And I didn't do a very good job of loving unconditionally if they thought that they were too scared to tell me who they really were because of how I would react. Then my dad died, and I was introduced to the law of attraction, which brought me down a whole rabbit hole, which ended up making me question my beliefs and my faith, and led me to leave the church eventually. And my beliefs have changed so many times since then, but what is most important is I went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza week-long retreat with my husband, and there I had an amazing experience that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that gay people aren't bad. They're not sinners. And it was really healing for my soul. I remember I was there with my husband and we had met this couple, and they were gay men, and we loved them. We just thought they were incredible, amazing humans. And one day, I was pregnant at this point with my 6th child, and one day my back was hurting like crazy, and I was just having a hard time sitting in these little metal chairs in this hotel. And this man, Kevin, came up to me, and he was one of the gay men, and he offered to give me a Reiki healing. And at that point, I'd never heard of Reiki before. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was like, sure, if it's going to help me, I'll take anything at this point. And he laid his hands on my head and on my shoulders. And in the church, we were taught that only priesthood holders could do that, and that they had the power of God. And when Kevin put his hands on me and started doing Reiki, it was for real the most beautiful experience I've had in a very long time. I felt instantly love and compassion and acceptance, and just this overwhelming feeling of unconditional love, and realized then and there that what in the world, maybe what I've been taught isn't right. Maybe to judge the sin but not the sinner. But I was judging the sinners. Let's just say it what it is. I was judging everyone who wasn't like me, who didn't believe like me. I thought I was superior and better, and that I had to convert them and help them see the light so that they could be happy like me, because I truly didn't believe that people could be happy outside of my religion, which to me now is really kind of laughable, but that's what we're programmed to think and believe, and what we truly feel after many years of that kind of indoctrination. Anyway, so when I came home from that Dr. Joe experience, I felt so much unconditional love, and I realized that God is love. We are all love, and we come here as love. At a soul lover, that's who and what we are. And I had not been loving people in that kind of way. I had been loving very conditionally, because that's kind of how I had been bred to be. I believed that I was, better. I was on a high horse because I knew better. But honestly, I didn't. And I remember asking my child at that point, I've noticed some tendencies of yours, and I wonder if you would be willing to tell me how you feel, like who you really are. And he started crying and came out to me in the most beautiful and sad way. I've been too afraid to tell you, Mom, but yeah, I think I'm gay. And that was the first step in our evolution as a family and as a mother-child relationship. And we gave the biggest hug, and I felt so much love and compassion for my child, who'd been going to church at a congregation where literally our bishop was in charge of the youth, and my child was a youth, and he would tell them things from the Bible, but his interpretation of the Bible, that would say things like gay people should be dead. And I was bringing my child there every week thinking that I was doing the right thing. And when my child started coming out to me and telling me what he was learning at church, it broke my heart and it made me question everything. And then when my dad died and I learned about the law of attraction, it just led me down more and more of a rabbit hole, to the point where I realized that this church is actually harming a lot of people, and it's hurting families, and it's dividing families. Instead of being families are forever, it was like, oh my goodness, my family's not going to be forever if I stay. Like, I knew that I had to leave, and I did, and I'm so glad. Anyway, about a year after I left the church, my youngest child drowned in my backyard. And that made me question even deeper. And that's a whole other story. You can find more stuff about that on my page. But it really helped me really want to help my children who are still living. Still have 5 other children. And my oldest came out a few months later, after that, about a year later, probably, as trans, and realized that they were not only just gay, but they really just didn't fit in the right body, and they wanted to change it. And at this point, they were an adult, and I was shocked by it, because I hadn't seen the signs that had obviously been there their whole life, but you don't know what you don't know, and at that point, I didn't know. And when he came out and said he wanted to start transitioning to a male, I was like, okay, let's do this. I will support you in any way I can. And I'm gonna be honest here. That was hard for me. I had to grieve the loss of what I considered that time another child. Another one of my children was gone now. But this time I got a new child instead. I got a new, happier child, a child who felt at home in his body and in our home, because he could finally express himself in a way that made him feel free and real to be real. He didn't have to fake anything anymore to feel love and acceptance, and that was a beautiful thing. And then all sorts of laws started being passed, both here in Ohio and countrywide. And since then, I've been trying very hard not to live in fear. But I see the mass misinformation and hatred and downright dehumanization of so many beautiful souls like my son, and I cannot be silent anymore. This is getting really long, and I'm going to have to share a part 2. Because this is very near and dear to my heart, and I want so badly for people to be seen for who they are and loved for who they are, and to recognize that our differences are what make us fantastic. And I will tell you right here and right now, I am so proud to be a trans mom. I love my son more than ever, and he has taught me more than probably any other human, simply by being himself and helping me leave my comfort zone. All right, join me for part 2, because this is getting too long.
My son is 18 years old. He is transgender. My son came out when he was 16. It wasn't anything I felt any kind of negative feelings about whatsoever. Coming out to the rest of the family was a little more difficult. The one person that I really expected to push back the most was my mom. My mom is still a diehard Trump supporter, and she is still very much Republican and very much conservative, and I expected so much pushback there. But she was actually the first person to immediately, he texted her and she said, you know what, I love you no matter what. You'll always be my granddaughter. And he was like, grandson. And she said, okay, be easy on me. I'm old, I'm learning. And I don't think she's ever misgendered him. I don't think she's ever dead named him since the minute he told her. I've learned my compassion from my mother.
You gotta excuse the hair, I just woke up, but seeing this comment really, it really warmed my heart. It made me so happy. And to know that mothers like you are out there. Mrs. Bates, you keep supporting your son along the way in his journey, and I know he's gonna thrive. With a mother like you, he's gonna be all right. And I thank you.
I am trans and the child of deeply religious parents, and the one devastating thing I've learned throughout my coming out, throughout post coming out, trying to maintain a relationship with them, is that they will never believe that my being trans isn't a choice. They will always believe that this is a choice. And no matter what I do or say, I won't be able to convince them otherwise, because that requires a crisis of faith. That requires their entire belief system to be structurally dismantled and built from the ground up. And they're in their 60s. They don't have the capacity for that. I've gone no contact before and might again. I'm currently in a low contact phase, but there's nothing I can do or say to make them believe me or care about my rights as a trans person. And so if you're in a similar position, there really only is one thing that you can say that will convey what you need to protect your peace and set the boundaries that need to be set. And it's, I am not loved in the way that I need. I am not respected in the way that I deserve. And I am not trusted in the way that I've earned. That's probably the last thing I will ever tell them. And it will be the truth. And if you're in a similar position to me, saying something along those lines is probably the best thing you could do.
So I get asked this question a lot. Can trans men have children with women? First of all, of course we can have children, but not in the way you're probably thinking. So we can use a surrogate, a donor, all those cool things, but we do not produce what is needed to impregnate a woman. So we use those other options. Man, if I could get somebody pregnant back in my day, I'd be in a lot of trouble because I was not the smartest. So it's probably smart that I can't do it that way. I'm not even gonna hold you. But yeah, in all seriousness, we do not produce what is needed to have children biologically. So I hope that answers anyone's questions, because I have been asked a lot. Forever shooting blanks. Peace out.
There was an incident with my transgender son that really made me rethink my approach to how I was parenting. Now, prior to this, I had assumed everything was honky-dory. He had come out, I told him I loved him, I accepted him, we're going to take things at whatever pace he thought was appropriate. I did my research, I felt like, okay, I've got it. And then I got a call from his academic advisor at school. It was a new school he had started, and she told me that she had noticed that he wasn't really engaging. He seemed withdrawn. He was constantly hunched over. He didn't really interact and engage in school. And this was very different from the child that I knew, who was very gregarious and outgoing, class clown, always in the center of everything. And it wasn't until we had a conversation where he essentially told me that he didn't feel comfortable because of his breasts. And I would have never thought about it. I just didn't think about it. And to resolve it, we purchased binders. Binders are like compression shirts that hide the breasts, essentially, so that a person looks a little more flat-chested. And like that, his confidence improved. His demeanor and attitude improved. He was more engaged in class. He was more engaged with his peers and his classmates. His confidence returned. And it was just as simple as hiding those or masking those attributes of him that he felt weren't consistent with who he is. He is a man. He is a male child. And so he didn't want to have breasts that were obvious to anyone who was looking. And these are the types of things that I hope I can share with other transgender parents. Sometimes it's the little things that you may not notice or may not pay attention to that can make all the difference in your child's confidence and sense of self. So hopefully if you're going through something similar, you'll be able to take this little tip and apply it.
Good morning, family. It is Trans Awareness Week, so you know I couldn't let this week end without shouting out my son, my love, my oldest child, Nahari. I love you, love you, love you so much. Listen, LGBTQIA community, we really have to wrap our arms around the trans community and make people aware. I, for the life of me, cannot wrap my head around hating people simply for existing. I cannot. I love my son to pieces. Okay, and as you all know, I had him at just 13. The week after I turned 14, 2 weeks after I started my 9th grade year of high school. So we grew up together. So I love the fact that he trusted me enough and felt safe enough to come out to me when he did. Now, when he first said, "Mama, I'm gay," I'm like, no, it's more to that. Okay, but I'm so proud that when he finally came all the way out, showed his true self, did my heart good as a mom, to support, to love, to just make sure I'm there for my children. It did my heart good. So I just want you all to be aware, trans community, that you are loved, you are seen, you are supported by me. Love you all. Bye.
I say to myself, in a world so wicked, why wouldn't this be confusing, you know? Look, we gotta really start to understand, and the more we find love for other people, the more we find understanding other things people do. Even if you don't understand it and you have your own ways of looking at life, and maybe you came up in a certain religion where that the past that's looked at as bad, you have to understand it's your love, your family. Treat people with love and respect, and then you'll get to know that people are just people. I mean, there's so many other things people have out there to worry about that could really be more detrimental to all of our lives, but still we see these conversations come up, and I was so surprised that, you know, the way some of the females took it. But then, you know, everybody has their points, everybody has their ideologies of what they feel like this world should be or how it should be ran, and nobody comes to think about, you know, that maybe some people don't see it the same way they do, and maybe there's something in them that make them feel like that's the way they want to live. Why would you, if you don't even agree with it, why would you try to point down on them or relate it to not being normal? And this is how people take their own life, and it's sad because social media could be the biggest bully ever to especially the youth coming up and just trying to find themselves, and they're seeing things, and there's a whole lot going on, and then you have fingers being pointed at you, and you have people telling you this is the way, and other people telling you no, this is the way, and it's like a tug of war of this. It's so wicked. I just feel like, as a parent, just love your kids unconditionally. Don't let anybody tell you how to raise your kids, and if your kids want to go, you support them to the day you go, and they gotta stand over you, you know. You guys let me know in the conversation, in the comment section, but you know, about this conversation, and let me know how you feel on it. And even if you don't feel the same way, I'm always here to. I'm not like a debater or anything, but I'm always here to hear people's opinions and learn from them and have an understanding what other people out there in the world are thinking on these types of situations. But until next time, it's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe, right?